Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for the Tuesday Vinyasa class. For today's class, we're going to start in a standing position, but before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that I think next week we're going to try and do this class live. So it will also be recorded but live, and Ashley and Sarah will be posting on Instagram or Facebook about that, and sign up will be the same. You'll just have the option for the live class, which you'll get the link for just in advance. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone when we finally can, if that's online or in the studio. Okay, so we're going to get started in a standing pose. So maybe you can lift your toes up off the mat, give them a nice big stretch, and then as you lower them back down, really grip into the mat. I want you to feel nice and grounded in this standing pose. Feet can be about hip width apart or right next to each other, whichever feels more natural and more comfortable for you. We're going to do a few shoulder rolls, so let's roll our shoulders up. Shoulder blades come nice and close to your ears. And as we lower them, see if you can pull those shoulder blades together just a little bit. Inhale as we lift them up. Exhale as we lower them. So we're lowering them away from our ears and also pulling those shoulder blades together. A few more of these, rolling up and exhale. And I'd like you to either bring your palms together or have them open and facing forward, depending on your mood today and what you feel you need. Open palms are usually for receiving, or maybe you'd like to center yourself in your heart. Then you can go ahead and close your eyes. We're going to start to notice our breath here. Standing nice and tall. Core is slightly engaged. As we pay attention to our inhale and exhale, hopefully they're moving steady. Same amount of breaths for inhale as exhale. If not, see if you can focus on doing that. Help to center you. And while you're here, standing and breathing, I'm going to read something to you. Something short. It's from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. And this is actually for June 8th, which is today while I'm recording it. And it says to rest like a tree. Praise and blame, gain and loss, pleasure and sorrow come and go like the wind. To be happy, rest like a tree in the midst of all of them. It helps to remember this. Of course, it's hard to remember this when feeling blame, loss, or sorrow, but that's when we need this wisdom the most. Like everyone, I'd rather not experience the undercurrents of life, but the challenge is not to shun them, but to accept that over a lifetime, we will have our share of them. Avoiding the difficult aspects of living only stunts our fullness. When we do this, we are like a tree that never fully opens into the sky, and dwelling on our difficulties only prevents them from going away on their own. When we do this, we are like a great tree that nets the storm in its leaves. The storm by nature wants to move on, and the tree's grace is that it has no hands. Our blessing and curse is to learn and relearn when to reach and hold and when to put our hands in our pockets. So this applies to so much of our daily lives, but as we move through our practice today, maybe we can focus on letting go where we need to, and not holding on or giving too much attention to something that might feel difficult. If we start to find a pose too hard, just remember that it will pass. Try and ride through that storm like a tree. And with that said, we'll slowly start to open our eyes, finding a soft gaze. I'm going to do a couple gentle neck stretches. So you can take let's do our left hand, reach it over the top of your head. This is one of the only poses that I can actually mirror you guys and not get myself all twisted up. Using the weight of your hand and your arm, let your left ear fall to your left shoulder. Almost thought I could do it. Just the weight of everything gives a gentle stretch on the side of your neck. It's one of my favorite neck stretches. We'll slowly release that left hand. Drop your chin towards your chest and roll it around towards the other side, where we'll take our right hand, reaching it over the top of our head, letting that right ear fall to the right shoulder. Standing nice and tall. As we gently release our fingers again one more time, we'll let that chin drop and roll down to the other side. We're going to take our hands, sweep them, inhale up and overhead, pressing the palms together and bringing them down our center line. A few more of these as we inhale, reaching our arms up and overhead, maybe looking up as we go, palms together, bringing them down our center line. One more time, inhale, arms up, reaching nice and tall, pressing the palms together and bringing them down our center line. And before we go any further with today's practice, we're going to be coming to Tadasana, this pose, mountain pose, a number of times in the practice, and also tree. So just a few pointers before we get started. So Tadasana, either feet can be hip width apart, or we might like to bring the toes together. You're going to have your quads just slightly engaged, imagining that if you can, your kneecaps are smiling. So you might want to practice releasing them and engaging them slightly. And you can feel that sort of pulls up on your kneecaps. So we're going to make them smile if we can as we come to this pose. And for tree pose, I'm sure most of you have done this with us before. We can place the sole of our foot on our calf or on our inner thigh, just making sure that you don't have it across your knee. We'll touch on that as we go. So coming to the tops of your mats if you're not already there. Inhale, reaching your arms up and overhead. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, place our hands on the mat. Step back to a high plank. Holding here in high plank. We'll then lower our knees to the mat. Maybe walk those hands back in a little bit. We're going to come to a tabletop position for another one of my favorites, cat and cow. It's a great way to warm up the spine. So knees below our hips, hip width apart, tops of the feet are pressed into the mat. Hands are below your shoulders, fingers spread wide. Hands and arms are engaged, pushing into the mat with your hands and your knees. Core is slightly engaged. And this is tabletop. And then we're going to inhale, drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lifting our chest, looking forward. Exhale, pushing into the mat a little bit further as we curve our spine, tucking our chin. Inhale, curving the spine, lifting the chest. Exhale. And let's do a few of these at your own pace. And as we go through these, feel free to give your hips a little wiggle side to side. Just kind of move in any way that your body feels good. Nice and warm up. Stretches. You might look over your shoulders, happy puppy with your tailbone. we'll come back to a neutral tabletop position. We're going to first reach our right hand forward, left leg straight out long behind us, reaching nice and long on both sides. See if you can keep those hips squared down towards the mat. And then we're going to bring our elbow and our knee, tapping it together. One tap, one more time reaching long, and back down to the mat. Switching sides, left arm is nice and long, right leg stretching out. Holding it here for a minute, your core is engaged, and then we'll bring the elbow and knee to tap, reaching nice and long again, back down to the mat. We're going to do 2 more of these on each side. So right arm, left leg, nice and long, stretch that spine, get some length, bring the elbow and the knee together, nice and long, again, and back down to the mat. Again on left arm, right leg, nice and long, tap the elbow and the knee together, bringing it back down to the mat. Last time on the right side, right arm, left leg, tap that elbow and knee together, reaching nice and long, back down to the mat. Again, left arm, right leg, nice and long. Last one, tap the elbow and the knee together, reach nice and long again, and back down to the mat. Then we're going to sit back into child's pose. Let's try wide-legged child's pose. So pop your knees out as wide as the mat if you can. See if you can push those sit bones, your tailbone back towards your feet. If this isn't totally comfortable for you, you might want to grab a blanket if you've got something nearby. We'll only be here for a minute or a bit less. Coming forward, see if you can rest that forehead down on the mat. If not, you can create a stack with your hands. As important as it is to be able to withstand the storms and the turbulence in our lives, standing up, it's also important to find ways to nourish our bodies and rest. Child's pose, or any pose that has a lot of connections with the ground and the earth, is a nice way to ground us and find some calm. From here, we're going to start to rise back up. Bring those knees back together. Pressing hands into the mat, fingers spread wide. Let's lift that tailbone. Pushing back for our first downward dog of the day. So from here, let's wiggle our hips, bending your knees maybe, pushing them back down into the mat. Maybe you're going to pedal your legs. Might come forward into a sort of plank pose, then back down. Let's look forward between our hands. Step your right foot forward, your left to meet your right. Forward fold. And very slowly we'll rise up, bringing our hands to our heart center. Taking a moment here. We're going to inhale together, raising our arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, down, hands down on the mat, step back to a high plank. From here, you can take a vinyasa, or if you'd like to start slowly, we'll lower our knees, tucking those elbows, chest, chin, creeping forward slowly, maybe coming up into a baby cobra. Tuck the toes, push back into a downward facing dog. From here, we're going to look forward between your hands. This time we'll step your left foot forward, your right to meet your left. Forward fold. Inhale, slowly rising up. And we'll bring our hands to our heart center. So we're going to go through that 2 more times. I'll walk us through, but feel free to go at your own pace. Inhale, your arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. step back to high plank. You can take knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra, or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Looking forward between your hands. This time we'll step your right foot forward, your left to meet your right. Forward fold. Inhale, we'll rise up very slowly, bringing our hands to our heart center. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back, or maybe jump to high plank. Chaturanga. Baby cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Looking forward between your hands, step your left foot forward, your right to meet your left. Forward fold. Inhale, rising up and bringing our hands to our heart center. From here, we're going to take our first tree pose. So taking our right leg, placing it either inside of your calf or inside of your thigh, bringing your hands to our heart center, or maybe for tree, you'd like to raise your branches up. That does help if you're moving around, wobbling, feel as though you're flowing in the wind. Anytime we're in a balancing pose, please be playful with it. If you fall out, just come back and start again. So from here, we're in our tree. We're going to shoot that right leg back so that we're now in a high lunge. Raising your hands overhead as we sink and bend that left knee. Breathing here. See if you can feel that right hip flexor start to open a little. And we're going to push off into warrior three. So let's shift our weight forward onto the left foot. Arms can come out to the sides or onto your hips as you get settled here. Hips are squared down to the mat. Right leg is out back. Core is engaged, arms are out to the side. Warrior three or airplane pose. Gazing down at the mat or slightly ahead. 2 more breaths here. That nice strong standing leg. I'm wobbling a little today, try not to look at me. Find a focal point for any of these balancing poses, something that's not moving. Let's lower back into a high lunge again. So right leg comes back down to the mat. Arms up and overhead. Shoulders are away from your ears. Breathing here. We're going to step that right foot forward to meet the left, bringing your hands to your heart center. Give your legs a little shake. We'll switch sides, so picking up that left leg inside of the calf or your inner thigh. Settle into your tree pose, wherever you're comfortable. Shoulders away from the ears. We're standing nice and tall. Coming back into a high lunge, let's release that left leg. Shoot it back behind us. Hips are square. Arms are overhead. Anytime that we're bending our knees, warrior two, high lunges, low lunges, just check that you can see that big toe, that your knee is not falling inward as you're bending. Really opening this hip flexor here on the left side, getting things nice and warmed up. Getting ready to fly into warrior three as we start to shift our weight forward. Again, bring your hands to your hips if you'd like. Checking their square, arms out to the side. Really gripping into the mat with those right toes. Two more breaths here. Lowering back to a high lunge. Left leg comes back down to the mat. Sweep our arms up and overhead. And then we're going to step back to Tadasana. So we push off of that left foot meets the right. Bring your hands to your heart center. Give those legs a bit of a wiggle. Hips should feel a little bit more open now. And then together we'll inhale our arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold, taking a vinyasa. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. High plank. Knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. And we'll meet in downward facing dog. Three breaths here. Feel free to walk out your legs, wiggle your hips anytime that we are here. If you need a bit of a stretch. Looking forward between your hands, inhale your right leg forward, left to meet your right. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising up, bringing your palms to your heart center. Coming into tree pose again. Nice and strong, ankles supporting us on the left side. The right foot comes into your inner thigh or your inner calf. Hands to heart center or up above us. And then we're coming back into high lunge again. So let's take that right leg, shoot it out behind us. Check your alignment and settle into this pose. I'm going to swap sides quickly as we go here. Still breathing. Now we're going to open up into warrior two. So let's rotate that right foot to a 90-degree angle. Check that your left heel is in line with the instep of your right foot. We'll sweeten our arms open. Again, checking that you can see that big toe. Arms are reaching equally towards both sides of the room. And our gaze is out towards the left. Our left finger, sorry. Nice and strong. One more breath here. Let's go ahead and straighten that left leg. We're going to come into triangle pose. Shimmy the left hip out towards the back of your mat. Right hip out towards the back of your mat. Left hand comes to the inside of our left thigh. Right arm up towards the ceiling. See if we can use the leverage of our leg to open our chest. Maybe you can feel that right shoulder blade pulling inwards towards the other on your spine there as we open our chest. Last breath. Then we're going to spin forward, coming back into high lunge. So rotate that back right foot and we're back in high lunge. Again, shoulders away from the ears. Lots of high lunges today. One more breath. And then we'll step that right foot forward to meet our left. So we're back at the top of our mat. Give our legs a bit of a wiggle. Bringing your hands to your heart center. Switching sides. Left foot to the inside of your right calf, right thigh. Again, don't forget to be playful. If you fall out, just start again. Getting myself all thrown off. Looking around here at different things. We're standing nice and tall. Not taking ourselves too seriously. Letting things just flow around us. Coming into a high lunge, let's take that left foot, shoot it back behind us. Sweep those arms up and overhead, shoulders away from your ears. Breathing. Don't forget to breathe. open into warrior two. Spin that back left foot, checking your heel alignment, bending that knee, arms open up. Feel free to flip the hands if you need help get those shoulders away from your ears. Gaze is out over your right fingers. Let's go into triangle pose. Straighten that front right leg, shimmy that left hip out towards the back of the mat. Reaching forward with our right hand, sweep down on the inside of that right thigh. Left arm comes up towards the ceiling. We're opening our chest here. Looking up towards the ceiling. Or out to the side if that's not comfortable for you. We don't want to pinch our necks or strain them. And anything we're doing here. 2 more breaths. You've got this. Your legs are strong. Opening things up today. Exhale, let's sweep back forward to high lunge. Two more breaths here. Step that left foot up to the mat. Meet your right foot, hands to your heart center. And then we're going to take a vinyasa. So we'll inhale our arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Feel free to move with your breath. High plank. From here, we're going to come into child's pose. Your choice if you like wide leg or knees together. Knees together can be slightly more restorative, feeling slightly more nurturing. Coming back into downward facing dog. Let's spread our fingers nice and wide. Tuck those toes, lift that tailbone. Looking forward between your hands. Let's go with the left foot first this time. Right foot to meet the left. Forward fold. And then we'll rise up, bringing our palms to our heart center. Tree pose again. As you like, calf or thigh. Right foot is pressing, using that, if you've got it in your thigh, almost using that foot as leverage. Sorry, pushing it into the thigh. The thigh pushes back, helping us to stand nice and tall. Hands at your heart center or up and overhead. Take that right leg, we're going to put it back into high lunge again. So shoot it behind us. High lunge. I'm going to flip myself around again just so we can see everything going on. From here, we're going to open up into warrior two again. So let's rotate that back foot. Blade edge of the foot is pushing down into the mat just as much as the inside edge of that foot. Warrior two. Breathing here, always breathing. 2 more breaths. Take that right hand, shoot it back down your right thigh. Left hand sweeps up and overhead, opening up that left rib cage, getting some space there, opening the chest towards the ceiling if you can. Breathing, last breath. Exhale, we're going to rotate back to high lunge, so spinning on that back right foot, sinking into that left knee just a little bit more. Maybe you're smiling, going with the flow. Coming back to Tadasana, push off on that right foot. Right foot comes up to meet the left. We're at the top of our mat. Hands to heart center. Let's give them just a little bit of a wiggle. This time we'll take the left foot, place on the inside of your right calf or right thigh. I'd like to switch it up, whether you've got your hands up or at your heart center. Maybe your branches are flowing around. That right standing foot's nice and strong, ankles supporting us. We're coming into high lunge. Let's take that left leg, shoot it back behind us. Get yourself nice and lined up, high lunge. Two more breaths here. Let's go ahead and open to Warrior Two. Checking our alignment. Gazing out over those right fingertips. And let's reverse the warrior. Left hand down our left thigh. Right hand sweeps up and overhead towards the back of your mat. Gazing upward if you can. One more breath. Nice and long, space in those right rib cage, in that right rib cage, right side. Let's spin it back for high lunge. Spin that left back foot. Opening our hips, building nice strong quads. You've got this. Last breath. Push off from that left foot. Come back to front of the mat. Palms to your heart center. We'll inhale our arms up and overhead. We're going to take a vinyasa. Exhale, forward fold. Feel free to move at your own pace. Inhale, half lift. Hands to the mat. Exhale, high plank. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Looking forward between our hands. I can't remember if we stepped our left or our right forward, foot forward first last time, so please just go with whichever one you like. Forward fold, inhale, rise up, bring your palms to your heart center. Last time in tree pose for today. Right foot, calf or inner thigh. Standing nice and strong. Tall. Looking at your focal point. Shoot that right leg back for high lunge again. I'm going to switch sides last time. High lunge. Always checking our alignment briefly when we get into poses that we're holding for a few breaths. Last breath, and then we're going to push off into Dekasana. So on our exhale, we'll shift your weight forward to that left foot. Right foot comes off the mat. Another balancing pose. Arms are reaching out behind us. Hips are squared. Shoulders are pulling back away from the ears. One more breath here. We're going to see if we can move into half moon pose from here. So maybe placing your hands on your hip, left hand on your left thigh if you'd like. Or you can reach down to the mat. Maybe you've got a block or something. Bending your knee if you'd like as we start to open our hip towards the side of the space you're in. Right hand comes up towards the ceiling if you can. Again, play with these poses. Let's let that right foot drop back for high lunge one more time. We're here. One more breath. Push off that right foot. Bring it up to meet the left. We're at the top of the mat. Hands to our heart center. Give those hips a little wiggle. Tree pose. Left foot pushing into right thigh or right calf. Bringing your hands together. Two more breaths here. See if you can really enjoy this pose. Shoot that left leg out behind us for high lunge. Arms sweep up and overhead. Last breath. On the exhale, let's get ready to fly. We'll shift our right leg, weight forward onto our right leg. Left foot comes out behind us. Hands are reaching strong behind us. Maybe we're falling out. Maybe you've got this. One more breath here, and then we're going to come into half moon. So move at your own pace. Opening your hips to the side first. Maybe you get your hands set first. Take some nice strong ankles to get us here. Just go with the flow of what your body feels like doing today. One more breath. You've got this. Last one, let's exhale, come back to high lunge. Left leg lowered to the mat. Arms are sweeping up and overhead. Our last high lunge as we push off on that left foot. Bring it up to meet the right. Give those hips a wiggle. Hands to your heart. Inhale your arms up and overhead. We're going to take a vinyasa, meet in downward facing dog. Inhale, halfway lift. So we're going to come into pigeon pose now. So we're going to inhale our right leg up. Nice and long, three-legged dog. Then we'll bring that right knee forward towards your right wrist. Left ankle towards left wrist. You might want to shimmy that hip back again if you can. Your right ankle might need to come back or forwards in a place that's comfortable for you. So from here, we're going to see if we can fold over that front leg. You might be able to walk your elbows down. Maybe creating a stack for your hands. Maybe you can rest on your elbows to rest your head. Ideally, we're not straining our neck over here. You may be able to fold all the way over, resting your forehead on the mat. So wherever you find a place that you can sort of relax, try and stay there without moving around too much. few more breaths here. Slowly start to walk yourself up if you're folded over. Pressing your palms into the mat, fingers are spread wide. Let's tuck those left toes. Take that right leg, push it back up for a three-legged dog again, and lower for downward facing dog. Then we're sweep the left leg up for three-legged dog, coming into pigeon on the left side. Left knee to left wrist, right ankle to right wrist. Sitting nice and tall, make sure you're not falling out to the side on your hips. Squared off to your mat. We'll see if we can fold forward. Trying to find a place of rest here. You probably noticed that one side here is sitting higher up than others. Maybe one of your hips is a little bit tighter than the other. Still breathing here. Maybe your breath has slowed. See if you can pay attention and have your inhales and exhales the same length. We're going to very slowly start to rise up. Again, pushing those palms, fingers spread wide into the mat. Let's tuck those right toes. Lift that left leg up nice and long, big long stretch, three-legged dog. Lower it for downward facing dog. And then we're going to lower our knees down to the mat. Have our sit bones come back towards our heels. So we're in hero pose here. And then we're just going to fall out to one side, so we're seated. So you can fall to your left, to your right. Swing those legs out in front of you. Actually, then we'll bring the palms, soles of the feet together. Check that you're sitting nice and tall, your spine is straight. Soles of the feet are together in a nice butterfly. Inhale and finding length, reaching nice and tall, the crown of your head. And then exhale, we'll see if we can start to fold over our butterfly, over these feet. So you don't want to be curving your spine, trying to bring your head in towards your feet. You almost want to imagine that you're reaching your head forwards in front of you. Just move back a little bit, make sure everyone can see me in this camera. And your feet might be in nice and close. You might be out nice and wide, having a big stretch. Knees can be high or low. Wherever they are is where they're meant to be. Maybe using your hands, we're going to start to rise up. Maybe pushing yourself up slowly, supported. We're going to go ahead and straighten that left leg out in front of you. Foot is flexed. And then we'll take the right leg, crossing it over your left thigh. And we're going to try and wrap your left hand around the sole of your foot. You may just grab onto it with your hand. You may be able to get that sole of your foot kind of in the crook of your elbow. Right hand comes around the knee if you can. You may be here using your hands to hold you. And wherever you are, we want to try and rock our leg just side to side. We're sitting nice and tall as we do this. Spine is straight. If your leg is pulling you over, maybe go ahead and loosen your grip. Just a nice little wiggle out for that hip in a very supportive way. We'll find some stillness, Shoot that right leg out in front of you, maybe giving them a shake. Grabbing that left leg, crossing it over your right thigh, and let's go ahead and grab it. Sitting nice and tall, however you'd like. Maybe wrapping your arms. Again, maybe holding with your hands. Coming to stillness, lower that left leg, stretch it out in front of you. Then we're going to take the right leg, swing it out to the side a little bit. Might be here, might be way out to the side, wherever is comfortable for you. Take that left foot, bring it to the inside of your right thigh. Not tree pose, something I guess a bit similar. And then as we're sitting nice and tall, really as tall as you can, straight spine. Shift your weight, shift your upper body if you can, out over that right leg, hands out to the either side. See if you can fold forward over that right thigh just a little bit. Maybe you're able to walk your hands forward. But what we are doing is, when we've got the length, we've got a twist. And then we start to fold over. Again, not curving your spine, reaching with your chin or your forehead, kind of out towards your big toe. Let's walk those hands back in slowly. Taking the left hand, place it out to the side of your left thigh. We're going to push on up, raising our hips up, sort of a variation of side plank. Right arm, getting all turned around, is up and over, reaching, opening the space. And those right ribs again, nice big stretch. And then we'll lower sit bones back down to the mat and switch sides. So left leg's reaching out to the side, foot's flexed, right foot comes to your inner thigh. Sitting nice and tall, inhale with length, exhale, we're twisting, folding over the left leg here. And while we're breathing here on the exhales, you might be able to move yourself just a little bit further. Maybe as you inhale, you can reach your head further forward, lengthening that spine, and then your exhale, you can twist a little bit further, folding over. Two more breaths here. Very slowly rising back up. Right hand comes to the outside of your right thigh as we start to rise up. Left arm sweeps up and over, creating space in the ribs on the left side. We'll lower our sit bones back down. And then we're going to have both of our knees bent. We're going to come back into boat pose on our way to lying down. So from here, we're going to see if we can, knees are bent, spine is straight, not sinking in, straight spine. We're going to see if we can start to lift our weight, lift our feet, shift our weight. Spine is straight, maybe we're reaching our arms out. Maybe you can see if you can straighten those legs a little bit more. Your quads are probably a little bit sore from all those nice high lunges that we did today. So you're reaching forward with your chest towards your knees, legs however bent as they can be. And then we're going to start to lower back down to the mat very, very slowly. So see if you can go slower than you think is possible, one vertebrae at a time. Legs are starting to straighten straighten out in front of you as we lower back down. A nice big stretch, reaching your arms out and overhead. And let's bring those knees in for a hug. Well, you've got them in a hug here, hands on your legs. We're going to rock ourselves back up for one more boat pose. Spine is nice and straight. Might need to rock a few times. We'll meet here. Core is engaged. Leading with your chest. Don't forget to breathe. Two more breaths. Let's very slowly start to lower back down. Again, going as slow as possible. One big long stretch again. Let's hug those knees. And then we're going to come into a twist, but let's straighten the right leg today. Nice and long. Let that left leg fall out to the side of the right side, crossing over us. Arms spread out to the sides if you can. Looking out over your left shoulder. A gentle supine twist. Let's bring that back to center. Maybe give your knees a hug. This time left leg nice and long and straight out onto the mat. Right leg crosses out over, let it drop out to the left side. Arms are opening up. Try and keep that right shoulder as close to the mat as possible if you can. This time we'll look out over the right side. Maybe you'd like to close your eyes. Getting ready for Shavasana. Bring those legs back into center. One last hug. Shoot the legs out nice and long. Heels about as wide as the mat. Let those feet fall out to the sides. Give your hips a wiggle if you need to. Maybe adjust your shoulders. You don't want your spine to be scrunched up. Your feet are falling out to the side, relaxed. Your calves are relaxed. Hips are melting into the mat. Maybe pull your shoulder blades in together. Shoulders are nice and relaxed and open. Hands up to the side, palms facing up. Your jaw is relaxed. Give it a wiggle if you need to. Maybe a big exhale. Inhale through your nose. And a big sigh as you exhale. Relax your forehead. Just try to be here for as long as you can. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you everyone so much for coming to practice. Enjoy these moments of stillness. Namaste.